When pain becomes propulsion, the art of resilient healing. Have you ever noticed how we're taught to run from pain, to avoid it at all costs? What if I told you that the very thing you're running from might be the catalyst for your greatest transformation? I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Victoria Parker-Stroude, a visionary whose work has fundamentally shifted how countless individuals understand resilience. Her insights don't just inspire, they revolutionize our relationship with adversity. Victoria has created a movement where vulnerability becomes strength, where wounds become wisdom, and where pain transforms into purpose. Her wisdom illuminates a profound truth. Pain can either prevent us or propel us forward. The choice surprisingly belongs to us. The stories I encountered through Victoria's work reveal something remarkable about the human spirit. When faced with life altering diagnoses, particularly those affecting the brain, that mysterious command center of our existence, some people don't just survive, they transform. Consider Victoria Vesque. Dancing for the NBA in her early 20s, Victoria embodied vitality and promise. Her body moved with precision and grace on national stages. Her future seemed limitless. Then came the diagnosis that would rewrite her story: a brain tumor. Imagine that moment. The world spinning as a doctor delivers news that threatens everything you've built, everything you are. Most of us would crumble. Many would never fully recover. But Victoria, she chose a different path. The diagnosis wasn't the end of my story, Victoria shared. It was just the beginning of a different one. What followed was not just physical recovery from urgent brain surgery, but a complete reimagining of wellness. Victoria embraced holistic approaches: Pilates for strength, solo travel for mental clarity, adaptogenic supplements for stress management, and cold plunging therapy to control inflammation. She even co founded the Cold Collective, creating community around these healing practices. Here's what fascinates me: Victoria didn't just heal her body, she transformed her relationship with it. She graduated law school, became a model, built a platform that amplifies women's health. She turned her pain into purpose. But Victoria's story isn't an anomaly. Let me tell you about Kimia: two strokes, three emergency brain surgeries, a 7-day coma. She even coded during treatment, that clinical term that means, quite literally, her heart stopped beating. Death came knocking, and Kimya said, "Not today." When she emerged from that coma, the journey had just begun: intensive rehabilitation, the painstaking process of relearning basic functions, the psychological mountain of facing mortality and choosing to climb anyway. Today, Kenya speaks at events like the Memphis Women's Expo, advocating for stroke awareness, particularly among Black communities where these conditions often go undiagnosed or undertreated. Think about that progression from coding on an operating table to standing on a stage, using her voice to save others. That's not just recovery, that's resurrection. Then there's the nurse entrepreneur, known online as at APRNBeauty underscore 81. Diagnosed with a brain tumor at 22, she faced not just the existential threat of the condition, but the practical challenge of building a career in healthcare while battling her own health crisis. What did she do? She leveraged her firsthand experience to create a concierge nursing service centered on empathy and patient advocacy. She transformed her pain into a business model that serves others facing similar battles. Creating the life you want, she says, sometimes means reimagining the path when the original one is blocked. These stories share a common thread that Victoria Parker-Stroude articulated so powerfully. Resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you choose. daily, sometimes hourly, sometimes with each breath. But here's what conventional wisdom often misses about resilience: it's not just about mental toughness, it's about holistic healing, embracing practices that nurture your physical, mental, and emotional well being simultaneously. Victoria Vesky didn't just think positive after her brain surgery, she rebuilt her entire approach to health. She sought functional medicine practitioners when conventional treatments fell short. She explored cold therapy when inflammation persisted. She built community when isolation threatened. This holistic approach to healing isn't a luxury, it's a necessity, especially when facing conditions that affect the brain, where physical symptoms intertwine with emotional and cognitive ones in complex ways. And this brings me to another crucial insight from my conversation with Victoria Parker-Stroude: the power of community and authenticity in healing. When Kemya began speaking publicly about her strokes and surgeries, she wasn't just sharing a story. She was creating space for others to recognize symptoms, seek treatment, and believe in recovery. Her vulnerability became a lifeline for her community. The nurse entrepreneur who built a business around patient advocacy didn't just find a market niche, she created a platform where fellow healthcare professionals could acknowledge their own health struggles without shame. Her authenticity challenged the healer who never needs healing myth that pervades medical culture. Victoria Vesh's Cold Collective isn't just about the physiological benefits of cold exposure. It's about people gathering in vulnerability, discomfort, and ultimately triumph. It's about witnessing each other's strength and struggle without judgment. This is the alchemy that transforms individual healing into collective power. When we show up authentically, scars, setbacks, and all, we give others permission to do the same. But let's be honest, this path isn't easy. It's not a neat linear journey from diagnosis to triumph. It's messy, it's non-linear. It involves setbacks and dark nights and moments when giving up seems like the only rational option. Victoria Vesky battled not just the brain tumor, but the aftermath: hormonal imbalances, PCOS, inflammation, anxiety, and medication side effects. Kimya faced the grueling work of rehabilitation after her coma. The nurse entrepreneur navigated career building while managing recovery. The resilience these women embody isn't about never falling, it's about rising again and again and again. And here's what's truly revolutionary about their approach: they didn't wait until they were fully healed to begin making an impact. They integrated their healing journey into their purpose. They allowed their wounds to become wisdom they could offer others. This is perhaps the most powerful lesson from my conversation with Victoria Parker-Stroude. Pain that is transformed becomes purpose. Suffering that is integrated becomes service. Wounds that are tended become wisdom. What might this look like in your life? Maybe you're not facing a brain tumor or recovering from multiple surgeries, but we all face pain, disappointments, setbacks, losses, diagnoses that alter our expectations, relationships that end, dreams that die. The question isn't whether you'll face pain. The question is, will you allow it to prevent you or propel you? Will you run from it, numb it, deny it? Or will you lean in, learn from it, allow it to transform you? Will you isolate in your suffering, or will you build community around your healing? Will you fragment, treating physical symptoms while ignoring emotional ones, or addressing mental health while neglecting physical well being? Or will you embrace holistic healing that honors the interconnectedness of your being? These aren't abstract, philosophical questions. They're practical choices we make daily, and they determine not just how we recover from life's inevitable blows, but who we become through them. I want you to pause for a moment. Think about the pain you're carrying right now, the challenge that keeps you up at night, the diagnosis that changed everything, the loss that still aches. Now imagine that this very thing, this source of suffering, contains within it the seeds of your greatest contribution to the world. What if your deepest wound becomes your most powerful teaching? What if your darkest moment becomes your brightest light for others? What if your greatest challenge becomes your most profound gift? This is the radical possibility that Victoria Parker-Stroude's work invites us to consider. This is the transformative truth embodied by Victoria Vesque, Kimya, and countless others who have refused to be defined by their diagnoses. I challenge you today: choose propulsion over prevention, choose transformation over mere endurance. Choose to let your pain become the fuel for something magnificent. Take one step, just one, toward transforming your suffering into service. Explore one holistic practice that might support your healing. Reach out to one person who might understand your journey. Share your story with one soul who needs to hear it. Because when you do, you don't just change your own narrative, you become living proof of what's possible. You become the evidence someone else needs to believe in their own capacity for transformation. And in that moment, your pain becomes more than just propulsion for your own life. It becomes a beacon of hope in a world desperate for authentic healing. The choice is yours. Will you allow your pain to prevent you, or will you harness it to propel you and perhaps countless others toward a future more beautiful than you can imagine? Choose propulsion, choose purpose, choose transformation. The world is waiting for the wisdom only your wounds can offer.